whatever it is that you see in this area. I'm sorry, I'm a messy person, so just bear with me because I don't care. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know, it's always a long time no see. I'm very inconsistent. Subscribe. In this video, I wanted to talk about my eyeshadow collection, which is kind of a... I wouldn't say like it's that big, but it's kind of big because I got, in the past like 6 months, I got rid of a lot of eyeshadow palettes because, I don't know, they were old or I was not using them anymore. So, you know, I just cleaned everything up. I'm sorry if you're gonna see like a hole in my shirt, but it's just how this shirt is, so like let's just pretend that I didn't see that. I'm gonna show you my favorite one of all times at the end of it. As for the rest, they're not in a particular order, so let's begin. First thing first is the Makeup Revolution Pro Looks palette, and it's called Eat, Sleep, Makeup, Repeat. It's kind of an old palette, but like, you know, it still works and everything. But what I like about it is the fact that it is super colorful. Look at this. I love the colors in this palette, which is why I don't throw this away. It's because it has colors. And everybody needs an eyeshadow palette with lots of colors in it. Next up, we're gonna have 5 NYX palettes. The first palette is the In Your Element palette in, I don't know, is that in the shade? It's not in the shade. It's like, anyway, it's the water palette, which I love because I got very into like blues and greens, you know, in the past winter. So I was like, yeah, I want it. It's very, very pretty. I can't wait for winter so that I can play with this a little bit more because to me, these colors are very winter-like. So yeah. But I love it. Next up, always with the thing of the In Your Element palettes, I have the one in Fire. I have the one in Earth too, but I gave it to my mother because I was never using that, even though it was really pretty, but you know. The Fire palette, okay, I've never actually used this palette except for swatching it on my hands, but I really love it. Like, it's full of this beautiful, incredible colors, and I always say to myself that I have to, like, you know, use it more, but we'll see. But I love this palette. Next up, we have the NYX Perfect Filter palettes, and I have like 3 of these. I think they're in the line. There were like 4 of them, but one was like very similar to another palette that I had, so I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, the first one is Marine Layer, which is this one right here. Can you focus? Okay. You can see the whole blue eyeshadows kind of vibe. And I really, really like this palette. I've used it like a couple of times. I enjoy it. Pretty much. Next up, we have Golden Hour, which in my opinion, even though it looks like the most basic palette ever made, it's perfect. I think it's very perfect if you're either a beginner or if you're just someone who always uses like soft browns and like bronzy shades and stuff like that. Next up is my favorite from the Perfect Filter line, which is the Olive Hue, because if there is one thing that I love when it comes to eyeshadows, is green eyeshadow. And this one was speaking to me on a personal level. I love this palette. To me, it has everything because it has like a white matte shade to set my primer. It has this like more like warmish kind of brown to use in the crease. It has a bronzy shade. It has the greens. It has like this blue grayish shade if you want to do like a smoky eye kind of look. I don't know. I just love this one. Anyway, moving on, I have the beautiful Modern Renaissance by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I adore this palette. Like, I know I say that about every palette, but like seriously, this one is something special in my opinion. Like, I think that everybody needs to have this. Look. It's like the most beautiful palette ever made. In this palette, there is like the most perfect color I have ever used and my favorite eyeshadow of all times, which is Antique Bronze. Right here, it's the most beautiful bronzy shade, but with the hint of pink in it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like so pretty. Next up, this was kind of a splurge in a way because I don't really buy from this brand because the shipping cost is huge. But when I saw this palette for the first time, I was like, I need to have it. It took a month to get this palette, but it was totally worth it, which is the KKW palette in collaboration with Mario. And I don't know, man, this palette is everything. It's everything. Look at this. One of the most beautiful palettes ever made, next to the Modern Renaissance by Anastasia Beverly Hills. The next two palettes, I can't really show you the eyeshadows, and I'm gonna explain why. Okay, first thing is the nudestix, the Boho Babe palette, which is this one. It's very cute. It shows like the colors. Okay, basically nudestix, if you don't know this brand, nudestix is like a brand that does everything in a stick product. And this palette has 4 eyeshadows and 2 lip products. 2 lipsticks. I don't know why I said lip products. 2 lipsticks. Yeah, I can't really show you anything right now. Okay, it's kind of complicated, but I really love nudestix, and I'm just waiting to get like another couple of products, and then I would like to do an overall review of the nudestix products, so stay tuned for that. And the next one, also by nudestix, is the Sunset Strip palette. I can't really like show you anything. I will one day in another video all about nudestix. The palettes that I'm going to show you now are what I call my everyday palettes, which means that every time I'm in a rush, every time I just have to do something quick, I always reach for these palettes. Okay, let's start with this little palette right here, which is not really a palette, is my personal little Z palette. I got this little Z palette because I had some palettes laying around that, I don't know, I was not really using. I decided to depot a lot of eyeshadows and put them all in here. In here we have this first row, and these 2 are from the Naked 2 palette. This one, this like burnt reddish brown, is from the Naked Basics palette. Okay, this is an eyeshadow from MAC, a single eyeshadow from MAC. This and this one are from a Too Faced palette called, oh, what was it called? It was like Too Cute palette, whatever. And then this one in the middle, this kind of grayish eyeshadow, is from the Lorac Pro palette. So yeah, I just got all of my favorite eyeshadows into one palette, and yeah, I really like it. It's also very good for traveling, by the way. So next up is another Z palette. This Z palette is basically a mixture of 2 Too Faced eyeshadow palettes, which are the Peach palette. I don't know the exact name. Sweet Peach palette? The Peach palette. I don't know the name. Anyway, I will just put it somewhere on the screen. And the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. So the first 2, I just got all the eyeshadows that I love the most about the palettes. The first 2 rows are the first 2 rows are from the Peach palette, and the last one plus these 2 are from the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palettes, which are my favorite Too Faced eyeshadow palettes. I was kind of tired of having them laying around, and they were just taking a lot of space, so anyway, I depotted those. Next up, I have the Zoeva Matte palette, which is this one. And I don't know, man, if you ever need an eyeshadow palette with all mattes, this is absolutely gorgeous. I love this palette. It is so good. I don't know what else to say. It's great. Get it because it's amazing. Always on the matte, because I'm very obsessed with palettes with all matte colors. I don't know why, but I'm just very obsessed. Anyway, next one is the Too Faced Natural Matte. This is like the older version though. I looked at the new version like a week ago in Sephora, and I don't know, I didn't quite like it. Not that I don't like the eyeshadows, I do like the eyeshadows. What I don't like is the packaging. Why is it so big? This one is so small. Why couldn't they keep it like this? This palette has always been like my favorite. It has cool tones, warmer tones. Next up we have the MAC Semi-Sweet x9 palette, which, I don't know guys, this palette is everything. Look at this. I don't know, I love this palette. It's very, very pretty, and I know that this is expensive, like this little thingy right here, but I don't know, it's worth every single penny, every single dollar, every single euro. I don't know where you're from. Next up, which is like the last matte palette, is my Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. I know that there has been like lots of drama in the past like year about everyone and everything, and even though I don't really agree with a lot of things that Kat says, but I love this palette and I wouldn't want it any other way. So at the end of the day, I'm just here for the products, baby, so whatever. And this palette is also like an all matte palette, but it's absolutely incredible. I love doing like brown smoky eyes with this one. It's perfect. I was about to forget to mention my two most expensive palettes. Okay. These two palettes, I bought them like recently. They're little and they're hella expensive, so just bear with me. This one is the new Dior Backstage Eye Palette in Warm Neutrals, which is this one right here. I've seen on YouTube that a lot of people like the other one, the one with more of a cool tones. I hate cool tones. Like I mean that, not that I hate cool tones, but like the other one is like a little bit more pinky and I don't fuck with pinks. So this is the palette. I've tried this already and I can tell you that this palette is like super pretty. The only thing that I hate about this palette is this color right here. It looks pretty, but in reality it's like just the chunks of glitter. I don't like it, so I'm never gonna use that eyeshadow, but as for the rest, they are all bomb. Next up, it's something that was again hella expensive because it's more on the high-end side, but I had to have it, and it's the Chanel Les Quatre Ombre. I don't speak French, I am so sorry. Anyway, it's the eyeshadow quad, and sweetie, it's beautiful. Usually I don't like these quad eyeshadow thingies, but this one is an all matte eyeshadow quad, so I had to have it. It's like full of warm tones, and I don't know, I fell in love with this. I was like, what the hell? I need to cuddle myself every once in a while, okay? I'm lonely. I'm single as fuck, okay? We're almost at the end, guys. Just bear with me for like 2 seconds more. Next up, we have the beautiful Carly Bible palette with BH Cosmetics. This palette, I love it so much. I love it so much. I mean, look at this. What I love the most about this palette, I mean, I like the eyeshadows, they're good, but the highlighters. These highlighters are like the most perfect thing ever. Like honestly, if you don't want to spend like a lot of money for a palette and then highlighters and stuff like that, I suggest you to get this and you're gonna set for life, because when it comes to the shadow, it has warmer tones and it has cooler tones. The highlighters, it has like, how many highlighters? 6 highlighters, and I don't know, man, it's like, it's perfect. The last palette, this is the last one, I promise, is my all-time favorite palette. Okay, I love this palette so much that if I had to get rid of every palette that you have just seen and just keep one palette, it would be this one. And it's the Infinity palette by Linda Hallberg. If you don't know who... Okay, can it be in focus? Okay, right? And she's like pretty famous on Instagram. Anyway, I've been following her forever, so when she came out with this palette, I was like, okay, I want to give it a try, and honestly, I love it. I want to try other products from her line, so I will in the future. But this palette, okay, when you look at this palette, it might be a little bit confusing because you're like, what the fuck? It's just like 8 colors. Is this one? But the magic of this palette is the fact that these 8 colors can be used for everything. Everything. This palette, I've been having this palette since like last November, I guess. I use it almost every day. I freaking love it. And I don't know, I create everything with this palette. I mean, I do my eyeshadow mostly like with this color. I do my brows with these two. With these two, I do my contour. With this one and this one, I do my blush. And then there are 2 highlighters. I don't know, it's just hella perfect. I know that my lighting sucks, but I don't care because I am poor and I can't afford lights. Which is kind of ironic since I showed you like a Dior palette and a Chanel palette. But that's another point, okay? I have money only for makeup, okay? It's unnecessary to buy lights. Anyway, that was it, guys, and I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and yes, I will put all my social medias down below, and hopefully I will see you in my next one. Bye!